Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Board YouTube channel where we go live every weekday for Pick and Roll. It's a show where we go through NBA discussion and, of course, betting content before Pips gives his official picks on the show. If you guys have been enjoying the show so far this season, then please make sure you are subscribed to our channel. Like I said, 5 shows a week, putting in a lot of work to creating this content, so appreciate the subscriptions, helping us on the road to 1,000 subs. And if you enjoyed this one in particular, you're tailing the picks, then remember to hit that thumbs up button and visit thehammer.bet for more sports betting content. Unfortunate recap for today as the picks go 0-3. We're looking to get a bounce back day today, but we'll fire it in right away into the recap on this one. We'll go top down. Actually, we'll recap the season so far as well. Remind you guys, it has been a good season. We're focusing on the big sample size. 77-60 record, plus 7.7 units, and a 4.8% ROI. Yesterday, though, like I said, was unfortunate. This one, first of all, we go to DeAndre Ayton and Trae Young on the same game parlay. This was probably something that should have comfortably cashed, but Atlanta absolutely blew out the Phoenix Suns. I'm not sure if Trae Young even played at all in the fourth quarter. It was just blowout here, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, when your player has 20 points after 3 quarters, both of these guys,
Yeah.
like not much you can do there. And yeah, very unfortunate, especially with like how everything else was doing that night. Like that was like, let's get at least this one, and it was on a great pace. Yeah, so this game was like the Suns won 6 out of the last 7, and with Chris Paul back, with Ayton back, with Cam Johnson back, they won 6 out of the last 7, and the Hawks lost 4 out of the last 5. So like Phoenix were 2 points favorite at home, and they were down 40 after 3 quarters. Like that's I always talk about this on the show. Like small spreads, even favorites getting blown out at some random shit thing. Like absolutely, like no one even had that in like any side of thinking.
Yeah.
But at one point, Hawks were shooting 17 from 27 from 3, and Phoenix Suns were 3 from 27 at the same time. So it was 14 3 points made difference, and just nothing to do there.
Yeah, tough one there. Second one, we'll go to the Rockets game for SGA, Alperen Şengün. Şengün, I believe, finished on 4 points. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander finished on, I think it was 24 points. So both of them, like, solid performances, just not quite enough for what we needed here. Obviously, as a Rockets fan, you had your eyes on this.
What your thoughts on that one? Game, I will bet this bet like 100 out of 100 times. This was like amazing value. Shai obviously finished at 24 points with having the worst shooting game of the season. Worst shooting game of the season against the Houston Rockets. So that was pretty unexpected. Yeah. And he was 7th from 23, which is like mind-blowing. That like, and he is the leading scorer in the third quarter in the entire NBA. And first 10 minutes in the third quarter, he didn't score a point. Like he wasn't even trying. Like he was just standing in the corner. And then he just decided, okay, I'll be in this game. And then he scored 7 points in the last 2 minutes, got up to the 20. I was like, okay, this could still be a winner. But then again, he came back in the fourth, scored 4 points. It was at 24 and like missed like 5 shots. So yeah, it was a winnable. And also Alperen Şengün had like, I think he had 15 potential assists and only 4 assists. So expected numbers of assists were like 7 or 8, maybe even 9. I will say 8 or 9. When you have expected 8 or 9 assists and your guy is one short, like just very unfortunate results. Like I think KJ Martin blown 2 layups on his assist and 3 corner threes wide open, like no one even close, and Tyrese on also like 2 layups. So yeah, just it was the game went everything as I planned, but the just poor finishing cost us the win.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate when all of this comes together, and as it did with the third bet as well. So bonus on the PRA pretty much covered this just with points. He had 34 points, which was 0.5 off the over we needed, which easily cleared. Keldon Johnson on the points, though, he was just a little bit off as well on his number. And it's just like they were all like, seemingly on that sort of pace to get over. And it just sometimes it just culminates into a day like that.
Yeah, this was also unfortunate thing. It wasn't like Keldon Johnson had 10 points in the first quarter, and then we had Sohan injury and Trey Jones injury, and then guys Malaki Branham and Josh Richardson came in, and they are not creating for others. They just shoot too many shots. They just like replaced the pass first players with the players that won't pass the ball. Like so, Keldon Johnson after the injuries in the first quarter, both Sohan and Trey Jones injured in the first quarter, and Keldon Johnson like completely changed his role after these two guys went out, and he was just standing in the corner as a spot up shooter for the rest of the game, and I didn't like that against the Kings that allowed the least threes. So yeah, that changed completely the bet. So
yeah. So I when you bet enough, days like this are bound to happen. But we've talked about on the show before. You want to make sure your bets are ones that even if you lose, those are bets you'd make again because you still liked the handicap. You still like the way when it played out. Ultimately, it just didn't quite get over the line. But I think the way you described these are three spots that you still like, even looking back. It just when they all don't come together, it just looks like this. So we'll try to bounce back today. 2 official picks are on the way. Before that, we want to talk about a potential trade. We talked about the full trade slate yesterday, which we had our fun with on OG Anunoby's odds being minus 500, which would imply an 83% chance he gets traded. Now, we don't think it's quite that high of a percentage, but we do think there's a great potential he does move on from the Raptors in the week leading up to the trade deadline. So, I'm a Raptors fan. I love OG. You like OG as well. You're a big fan of his. What do you think would be the best situation for him to go to? And what do you think, like, which team should be the one trying the hardest to bring him in as their final piece of the puzzle?
Memphis.
Probably.
Like, that's the responding to the part where should I want him to go, like, in the final puzzle. Yeah. But realistically, I don't know. We could like probably see him in the Knicks. Like,
yep.
That's one of the possibilities because they have something to give. Another one,
Pelicans.
I don't know. Like there are some like maybe Pelicans. Like they have a ton of draft picks and young guys. Like give me them Trey Murphy, Dyson Danielson. It's good.
Yep.
And you have Anunoby and Herb Jones on the wings and try to beat that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if he goes to Memphis, you've got Jaren Jackson Jr. on the inside. You've got OG Anunoby on the outside in the perimeter. I think like OG is just the type of play that fits a lot of teams. It's just which team is going to pay the most. I think the Raptors are in a solid position here. Now, as a Raptors fan, I'd rather just keep OG. But the big thing here is that apparently OG is unhappy in Toronto because of the role that he has. He wants to get a bigger role. But what's confusing, and I've said this on my channel many times, is
sorry. I mean, like trying to get a bigger role and then going to the great teams that will have even lesser role. Like
that's what I'm saying. So his role in the Raptors is like reports suggest it's too small. But if he goes to another team, that's going to be a contender that gives him less of a role. It wants him to be more of like leaning on that 3-and-D sort of play. So confusing from my perspective there. But the teams that want him, like Memphis makes a lot of sense. Like that, that firmly implants them as contenders. The Pelicans have obviously had a rough month, but if he goes there,
I'm a bit confused with this. Like especially when the last season, when Raptors had so many injuries, and OG was like for the first option, and that's just not for him. Like
it's
he wasn't even decent. Like it was some very poor shooting. His number plumped like huge downswings on his efficiency. And yeah, okay, maybe he needs a season with some poor team, like just getting his shots and trying to like improve and with the reps. But no, I don't think. I think I mean he knows the best probably for
But
what he wants of his life. But the Memphis role will be like you can win a championship there.
yeah, I mean, he's already got a championship. He didn't play in that playoffs the playoffs that year because he was injured, but he already does have a championship. I don't think he needs to go hunting for that. I think he's hunting for a paycheck because he's extension eligible at the end of this season, so he wants a bigger role. But again, like the teams that would trade for him, and it's a high asking price from the Raptors, and they're able to kind of play teams off each other to boost his value, sort of auction style. The teams that are going to pay up are teams that are contending and think that he is the final piece. And I think Memphis would strongly consider him the final piece. I think the Pelicans are pretty close to saying he could be the final piece for that team. And the Knicks, maybe not quite the final piece, but that I think improves their ceiling by a good amount. The only team that like there's been even some reports where he could go and get a bigger role is if the Pacers want to do that, but I just can't see that happening. So maybe like as somebody's saying, and as Casey's saying here, maybe it's an excuse to as a cop out to say he just wants to go somewhere else, and that could definitely be true.
Makes
He just
sense.
wants to change the scenery, and I as a fan, I can understand that, but there's a reason a lot of teams want OG for what he does.
What do you think about the Blazers?
Yeah, they were big on him in the summer. I think I think that's a good fit. I think there's some certain things they could offer the Raptors there that makes sense. I I'm just still not convinced the Blazers overall are in a position to sell on this. Like I think the Nurkic thing is the more pressing issue. I don't think the Raptors would really want to take Nurkic back there. I think the big department is what they need to focus on. Like I don't know if Miles Turner is going to be available. I don't know if they extended him. The Pacers extended him to trade him.
They extended him and he got paid like I think he got 30 millions.
Yeah, I was confused on this. So what it actually was, he got paid. So the next 2 years, he's making 41, but he got an additional 18 for this year, which equates to about 60. And it was reported 2 years 60. It's actually 2 years 41 and then 18 this year. So it's not
that's actually
it's good
smart.
value.
Yeah, smart thing to do. Like,
and I think that makes him better for trade. So if I'm the Blazers, I look that way. But I could see the appeal, like OG playing off, Damian Lillard and having that sort of
I don't like the Portland Blazers fit at all, and I don't like this trade for any of these two teams. I just know they are like in the rumors, straight rumors. So I just want to just mention them.
Yeah. As a Raptors fan, I like OG. If he wants to go, I'm happy to get a big haul because I think there's a lot of teams who are going to be interested in getting him. And I saw some things today saying like Memphis don't want him to go to New Orleans. New Orleans don't want him to go to Memphis. So maybe that could be something the Raptors play on as well. Fireworks heading towards the deadline, and excited to see just what happens there. But let's move into our official pick segment on the show for today, as we hope to have a bounce back Thursday here. We'll start off with the Lakers. We're taking on the Pacers and Miles Turner, fresh off of that new contract that we just spoke about here. But Anthony Davis, a guy who's back from injury, is the focus on both ends of this same game parlay. Here it is.
So we are betting Anthony Davis to score over 21.5 points and over 8.5 rebounds, which is minus 115 DraftKings. So this is a positive matchup for Davis in both rebounds and in points. First off, rebounds. Pacers are one of the worst rebounding teams in the league, and Davis cleared this line in 17 straight games with over 30 minutes, and he should be able to play like 33-34 minutes tonight. He played 2 overtimes. He showed that he can play big minutes. They probably won't do it straight, but they will ramp up his minutes game by game. And I think now that he's like 4th or 5th game coming back, I think we could see like 34 minutes tonight for AD. Also, single coverage of Miles Turner. I love Miles Turner as defender, but he'll just go for the blocks and leave AD wide open. He'll be in the drop coverage and let AD attack him just in the pick and roll with LeBron. And the last game they played, AD scored, I think, 26 points and 13 rebounds. and I think we will see something similar tonight. Yeah, just positive matchup, both rebounds and assists and drop coverage. Miles Turner single cover. Yeah, like Miles Turner single cover is great, but not against AD, Jokic, and Embiid. So if Embiid is the AD just continue playing like hard enough, like he was playing before the injury, and like he had some great games after the injury. So also, so I like this. I like him in this matchup, and Tyrese Halliburton is back. Like announced that they expect him to play. So this game should be close because Tyrese Halliburton obviously a huge piece of Pacers team. So yeah.
Yeah, and for the rebound part, Miles Turner, as good of a big as he is, he's not a great rebounder in terms of his overall numbers. So that's somewhere as well.
Well,
AD can have
yeah,
success.
I'll actually say that he's one of the worst in the league at that position. Yeah,
At
yeah,
rebounding,
that's the only thing. Big teams are not looking to trade for him. Like that's a big issue. Like he gets out rebounded and allows so many rebounds against some in big matchups, so that you can rely on him rebounding. So you need to have like the great rebounding player like next to him for him to play. And yeah, that's an issue in today's NBA.
yeah, I think just that description, the Raptors could definitely fit a player like that. They've got great rebounders all around. So sorry to involve the Raptors here, but Anthony Davis, both sides of the same game parlay on this one, has looked good since come back. Looked good against the Knicks. Hoping he looks good here against the Pacers as well. Moving on to the second official play, we're going back to the well, I guess, after DeRozan did not get us the cover on his line the other day. We're going back to him today as he's taking on the Charlotte Hornets, and we're also combining him with Terry Rozier and his shooting numbers. Here's the play.
So DeRozan over 23.5 points combined with Terry Rozier over 1.5 threes, minus 120 at DraftKings. So I spent some time on this deciding between Rozier and LaMelo Ball. So I decided to go with Rozier with his lately huge shooting numbers. So Rozier covered this line in 14 out of the last 15. Only one game, the last 15  game that he didn't cover, and he shot, I think it was like 30% from the three before in 2022, and in 2023 he's up to 38%, which is his normal career numbers. And if he can just shoot like 38 to like 35 to 40%, this is a great spot to bet on him because he will get like 7 to 8 wide open, like good looks for the three, because Chicago Bulls, as I always spoken, like we had Paul George last time they played, and Paul George cleared this in the first quarter. And yeah, the Bulls are just allowing second most threes to opposing shooting guards, and they are a terrible spot up defense. And Terry Rozier should get plenty of good looks here tonight. And yeah, so that's that part. And the second part is DeMar DeRozan. I rewatched the game uh, between them, and they played like I think 5 days ago, and DeMar had 28 points. And I'll say he had 28 points on like very below average shooting night. Like he was, I think he was 4 of 15 outside, 4 of 15 outside the restricted area. So that's very like he's 50% from mid range. He's shooting from the mid range, and yeah, 4 for 15. Like if he was like had 7 for 15, that will be like 34 points night. And yeah, I just love it. It's like they just span Vucevic, the Rosen pick and roll, and Plumlee was in a drop coverage, and for most of the game, Demar had wide open mid range, and the shots weren't falling for him somehow, and still he still ended up scoring 28 points. So yeah, I just like this is the same matchup, same game, and I just think if he covered this with below average shooting, he should be able to get there, especially after being very frustrated in the last game that he played so poorly. I just expect him bounce back, and I don't think there is like I think this team could like I think he knows that was the game because of his poor game, and I think we could see some early fireworks from DeRozan, not waiting for the usual 4-quarter shooting.
Yeah, I remember last game you spoke about how like his start of second quarter, start of fourth quarter is where he can really thrive the most. But like even in the game he played poorly against the Clippers last time out, he still almost covered the line. So we'll see if he can manage it today. And we'll recap the 2 official picks for you guys today. First of all, Lakers at Pacers. We're going with Anthony Davis over 21.5 points and over 8.5 rebounds, which is minus 115 at DraftKings. Going with AD strong in that one against the matchup with Miles Turner. In the second one, going back to DeRozan over 23.5 points, and that is paired with Terry Rozier over 1.5 threes, minus 120 at DraftKings. Thank you guys so much for tuning into Pick and Roll today. We're so happy you guys tuned into the show, are supporting the show. If you have enjoyed the content today and you're going to tail the picks, please make sure to hit that like button and remember to subscribe to the board on YouTube for content like this every single weekday. As we get towards the trade deadline as well, we're going to be doing some coverage of the big trades as they happen on this show. At least myself, I'm going to be involved with those. So subscribe for some additional content just like that. And visit thehammer.bet for more sports betting content across different sports. Myself and Pips are back tomorrow on Pick and Roll yet again. We hope to see you there. Thanks again, everybody.